Good evening. I would like to call to order the Board of Public Works. We have two items on the agenda. Item number 1 is approval of minutes from the regular meeting April 18, 2022.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 2, discussion of Northeast Interceptor Service Area. Good evening, Max.
Good evening. Thank you. This item tonight is to discuss the service area of the Northeast Interceptor. So a brief history is that the city had planned for this interceptor in the 80s, and then late in that decade, 89 or 90, they built the first phase of the interceptor. The goal was mainly to eliminate the Deerfield Drive lift station. This is shown on the map that I have attached. It would be the first map with the line in red showing that first phase. And then in 1995, the second phase was built, which is represented in green on the map. And the main goal was to plan for a future school in the area that is now the Willowview Estate subdivision. The school project fell through. Now we have residential subdivision there, and we have more residential development proposed in this area. So we took another look, so 25 years later, at that Northeast Interceptor. And basically we had several concerns at first linked to the soils conditions and whether or not development could happen in this area. The code provides, even with the prohibitive soils, the option for the developer to find solutions, propose solutions, and in the end develop the area. There are concerns with the high water table. Again, the code provides for solutions or opportunities to propose solutions to this problem. And the one problem that really caught my eye was the extreme depth of the sanitary sewer. And we pulled out our archive of when that sanitary sewer was placed and all the difficulty that were encountered during that construction. However, it looks like this long-range plan was to propose a road over this sewer. And our concern was if we ever need to repair the sewer, we would lose the entire road because of the bad soil conditions. And obviously we've seen now what excavation in this type of soil will do to the surrounding area. So that was my concern. And looking deeper into it, we found that actually there were some remedies implemented along the way, in particular planning in advance for sanitary laterals, with the sewer being in like 30 feet deep around that. Risers were already installed, and extension of the future laterals to the north and south. So clearly planning for residential development there, and bringing those risers higher in the ground, so closer to the surface, would alleviate the issue with the excavation, the depth of the excavation. The other thing we wanted to know was the condition of the existing sanitary sewer. So we went and video inspected the sewer. It looks in good shape. Of course, it's 25 years old, but the life expectancy is 100 years old, and it looks like we're on track to get that. So we are fairly confident that the sanitary sewer will fulfill its function for the rest of its life expectancy. So that kind of tempered my concern, but I wanted to bring this up to the board and council because it's been a long time, and at the time before they went and dug, there were some issues that probably didn't know about. However, looking at those issues today, we can see that they can be overcome, and our recommendation would be to continue in that direction with the original plan. So we're looking for confirmation from the board and council that staff can indeed continue with with that plan. Another note I wanted to make is that Northeast Interceptor was planned to serve, obviously, that northeast quadrant of the city. We have a sanitary sewer master plan, and that shows us how we can serve everything that is within the West Bend sanitary sewer service area. Based on the infrastructure that we have today, on the developments that have happened in the town in that area, we believe that we can easily serve that within our service area, and whether by gravity or other means. And we will look further into, as we move throughout that area, how we can make that sewer less deep, still serving the area that we're supposed to serve.
All right. Can we have a motion on the floor to give the staff permission to move forward?
I'll make a motion to move forward as recommended by Max.
Second.
Okay, do you have any questions for Max? Alderman Kaler.
I got one question, Max. Being that we're at this depth, do you foresee in the future, I know it says you eliminated the lift station, but do you think to serve that whole area in the future we're going to need a lift station, or are you going to be able to gravity feed that whole thing?
So the plan currently is to serve through gravity. The 2007 sanitary sewer master plan is showing that we could serve by gravity. However, as I mentioned before, the developments in the town, so they are in the town, they are in some different system with infiltration, etc. Those developments, we are not sure at what elevation they were developed. So if they were developed at a proper elevation that will allow us to still reach them by gravity, then we can do that. However, if for some reason their grades were lower, they may have to pump their sewer into the city gravity system.
So that would be on them at that point. It wouldn't be on us to build a new lift station, correct?
No, that would be on those existing development.
Okay.
If they want to
Connect
be
to
served
us.
by the city, then, if they want to abandon their system or their system fails or something like that, then they would have to provide that solution to be
Okay.
able to pump.
I just
in
want
the
to make
city.
sure we don't end up on the hook a couple years down the road, go, oh, now we got to build a new lift station here just for, okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Sure.
Alderman Delnick.
The thing I'm confused about, Max, is this contingent, or is this based upon the expectation that development in that high water area was going to go through?
Yes, it's, you're asking about my report here. Yes, it is based on the expectation that the development will happen, will be proposed. Like I said, the developer is facing some hurdles, but there are solutions that they can apply. They just have to demonstrate which solutions they choose and how they can provide for the area to be developed. The high groundwater concerns with that are mainly with the basements and the utilities, road foundation. But like I said, there are solutions that allow us to overcome that. And then the developer will have to show us which ones they would apply to the development.
But you're not going to be, we haven't had this at Plan Commission. I mean, the developer paid a couple of visits, so we haven't heard anything since. So what I'm confused about is, are you going to expend staff time in anticipation of this, or is it going to wait until something actually happens there?
No, they will have to go through the process of applying for the documents that are reviewed by Plan Commission, like their preliminary plat, and they will have to develop their construction plans. The whole story is that they were going in that direction already, and we kind of put the brakes on that and asked them to look at all these issues first before they come forward with those plans. So they're going to shift their attention to resolving those issues, making sure that, yes, they can develop the area, and then they'll bring the plans, they'll apply for plat approvals and other development plan approvals.
Alderman Allen.
Max, you have the sanitary sewer service area, seems to cover a lot of town of West Bend, or town of Trenton, I guess. Do we have any current hookups to our system in the town of Trenton? Or are these mostly potentials?
So the city of West Bend does have agreements with some towns. I don't have the list of them here, but certain districts that are outside of the city in the town have entered into agreements with the city of West Bend to receive their effluent. So they send, some of them pump it into our gravity sewer. Some of them, I believe, were served with gravity. But however, to answer your question, yes, there are some of them existing, and in the future, if necessary, the plant will have the capacity to serve other areas that wish to send their effluent there.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions? There are no questions. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn. Okay, I would like to call to order the Finance Committee, Finance Board. We have 4 items on the agenda. Item number 1, approval of minutes from the meeting April 18, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or corrections? There are none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Item number 2, resolution accepting donations for smoke alarm program. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Before you have a request, as you know, Captain Kenny Aslan from our Fire Prevention Bureau, one of his greatest passions is home fire safety. Part of this, his passion is home fire sprinklers. And May 15th to May 21st is Home Fire Sprinkler Week. Kenny has gone around and solicited donations to run a statewide radio campaign. And this is a donation from the Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition. They could not pay the radio station directly, so they needed to come through us, and then we will pay that invoice with this money. So it's in support of the Home Fire Coalition is where this money is coming from.
Motion to approve.
Any questions for Chief? Okay, thank you very much for that donation.
Oh.
Yep.
One quick question. When you say the money, these are what, paid advertisements?
Correct. Paid radio advertisements throughout the state.
Okay.
And the coalition can't pay the invoice for the radio to the radio station, Magna Media. They need it to go to a fire department, so we're accepting that donation to pay for that invoice.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 3, resolution accepting a donation from Terry Teague. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Come to you again with another great example of community. This first donation was from Terry Ty on April 15th. He received a solicitation that many of our community members received from a national fundraiser in reference to supporting police. Mr. Ty, rightfully so, said the best money is spent locally and community-wise, and unsolicited donated $25 to the police department to show his support, asking that money be placed into our crime prevention account for use for crime prevention.
Motion to approve.
Okay, any questions for Chief? There are none. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4, resolution accepting a donation from Mary Bartle.
Thank you. Very similar circumstances. Ms. Bartel also received the solicitation on a nationwide fundraising, and as she does nearly every year, came in to honor her police department in memory of her late husband, who was a longtime State Patrol trooper. We thank her for her support. She also brought in a basket full of candy, helping us to gain that weight that I mentioned to you very frequently. Also looking for that $100 donation to be placed into our crime prevention account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any questions? There are no questions. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And thank you very much, Terry and Mary, for those donations. We definitely appreciate that, and you as well, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Being no further business before the Finance Committee, I adjourn.
And good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of West Bend Common Council meeting for May 2nd. Note that we do have a quorum with Alderman Model absent and excused. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll note that we have 11 items on our agenda, the first being approval of the Common Council regular meeting minutes from April 18th.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alan and Kaler. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then our Common Council minutes from our organizational meeting on April 19th.
Second.
Thank you. I'll give that to Dolnick and Alan. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, and under presentations, we have first off, Roots and Branches Plant Sale and Adopt a Plot Days Proclamation. If we could have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Berquist and Allen. All those in favor of that proclamation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And this proclamation so reads, whereas Roots and Branches believes in growing a beautiful community today and planting seeds of pride and stewardship to improve the natural environment of West Bend tomorrow. And whereas our community continues to be committed in preserving and improving the beauty of our neighborhoods by planting flowers, trees, and shrubs within the city. And whereas Roots and Branches will be holding its annual plant sale at the West Bend City Hall employee parking lot on Friday, May 13th and Saturday, May 14th, 2022. In addition, Roots and Branches will provide the flowers and other necessary materials for the Adopt a Plot program, with volunteers providing the labor necessary to plant and tend. And now, therefore, I, Christoph E. Jenkins, Mayor of the great city of West Bend, do hereby proclaim May 13th and 14th, 2022 as Roots and Branches Plant Sale and Adopt a Plot Days in the city of West Bend. And I encourage all citizens to support and participate in these programs, helping to make our community a beautiful place in which to live. Thank you. And our other presentation is the International Migratory Bird Day Proclamation.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alan and Kennedy. All those in favor of that proclamation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And this so reads, whereas migratory birds are some of the most beautiful and easily observed wildlife that share our community. These birds and their habitats are declining throughout the Americas, facing a growing number of threats on their migration routes and in both their summer and winter homes. And whereas International Migratory Bird Day has become a primary vehicle for focusing public attention on nearly 350 species that travel between nesting habitats in our communities and throughout the Americas. And whereas International Migratory Bird Day is a day to foster appreciation for wild birds while supporting and celebrating migratory bird conservation. Now, therefore I, Christoph E. Jenkins, Mayor of the great city of West Bend, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 14th, 2022 as International Migratory Bird Day in the city of West Bend. And I urge all citizens to celebrate this observance and to support efforts to protect and conserve migratory birds and their habitats in our community and the world at large. Thank you for those. And next up we have the consent agenda, consisting of items 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alan and Berquist. Any further comments on questions on those? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. On to agenda items for consideration. We have the mayoral appointment of James Kepler to the Plan Commission. This was carried over from last month, and we now have more materials as well. If I can ask-
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of that appointment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Knapper, for stepping up. And don't forget, we have Plan Commission tomorrow night. Put you to work real fast. And then number 8, mayoral appointment of John Corbett to the Board of Review.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alan and Butchlick. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then finally, reports. A report by Alderman Berquist regarding the library board meeting. It's the highlight of our meeting, Brett.
It's
Only
really
report tonight.
thick today.
Take it away.
Cool, thank you, sir. The last meeting of the library board was held on April 19th. After the approval of the agenda and financial reports, discussion turned to concerns with expenditures and accounting practices involving the library. The library director and financial secretary will follow up with the city finance department for explanations and guidance in those issues. A greatly appreciated thank you is extended to the Hetzel Law Office and to Delta Defense for donations they made to the library. The library director's report included feedback from recent conference attendance, training with the police department, and staff openings. The 2022 summer reading program is reading off the beaten path, with lots of activities still being developed. The board president's report again thanked departing board members for their service to the library board. Agenda items included preliminary thoughts on moving emergency funds to strategic accounts, approval of library record-keeping practices as outlined by the state of Wisconsin, a shade structure for Patrons Park utilizing restricted park funds, consolidation in the number of fund accounts used by the library, and last but not least, more updates on the story room improvement to include equipment and accommodations. That's carpeting and acoustic paneling. One only needs to look at the great turnout of 2 recent events. That's Disney's Encanto Family Activity Night and Steve Keller's Traveling Snake Show. Where over 500 people showed up and filled them rooms, and just to see that it's really important that we maintain the library and the great facility that it is. The next meeting of the library board is scheduled for the 17th of May at the library. Any questions?
Not really. Not really a question, but have you considered like adding snakes as a feature all the time?
No, but it did draw quite a few people, so it paid off. It was definitely a good attention getter.
Awesome. Any other questions for Alderman Berquist? Then I'll open up if there's any other announcements for the good of the order. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, having no further business for the Common Council, I adjourn by the call of the chair. Have a good night.